Everybody knows that raw diamonds are formed when regular old coal is exposed to extremely high pressure and heat. You may have even been taught this in school, and while the part about pressure and temperature is correct, it may surprise you to know that coal is rarely, if ever, involved in the formation of diamonds. Specific zones within the Earth's mantle are capable of subjecting minerals to the process that forms diamonds, and coal seams are sedimentary minerals. This means that coal will almost never be found deep enough under the Earth's surface to be a part of the diamond-making process. Also, coal is formed from fossilized plant material, and diamonds have been found which are older than all plant life on Earth. The diamonds that are formed in the mantle are brought to the surface by a rare type of deep volcanic eruption, so rare that one has never actually been observed. Diamonds are actually made from carbon that was trapped under the surface of the planet at the time it was formed, billions of years before fossilized minerals like coal existed. If you've never traveled south of the equator, you've never gotten a chance to see the Coriolis effect in action. It's a very real and well-understood scientific principle caused by the spinning of the Earth, and it's responsible for things like the rotating action of cyclones. It's also why cyclones rotate in the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere as opposed to the northern, and most of us have been taught all our lives that it also applies to the rotation of draining basins and toilet bowls. However, while based in scientific fact, the Coriolis effect actually has no effect on such small systems. The effect is very subtle and can only be observed in much larger systems like weather patterns or under precisely controlled laboratory conditions. Under everyday conditions such as flushing a toilet, outside forces such as the injection of the water into the bowl at an angle are more than enough to override the Coriolis effect. So unless your toilet happens to be in a lab connected to sensitive scientific instruments, you're not likely to see a difference when flushing south of the equator. It seems like common sense to state that there is no gravity in space. We've all seen pictures and videos of astronauts floating around, and this condition is even commonly referred to as zero gravity. However, common sense dictates that this can't be true. Gravity is a universal force of nature, keeping planets and moons in their orbits, and ensuring that the entire universe doesn't just fly apart. So why does it seem like there's no observable gravity in space? The answer can be found by considering the nature of an orbiting spacecraft. Think of an orbit as a constant, controlled freefall. The craft isn't weightless, it has the same mass that it did on Earth, but the craft and everything in it are in constant freefall toward the Earth at the same rate. On Earth, we are being pulled toward the surface we are standing on, and we feel this pull as gravity. But in an orbiting spacecraft, everything is being pulled toward the Earth, including the craft, the astronauts, and everything else inside it. This is what causes the feeling of weightlessness, gravity itself, and not the absence of it. Not many things are more miserable than being stuck at home with a cold. Many of us like to try to make ourselves feel better with comfort food, like ice cream. But unfortunately, we've also been told all of our lives that eating frozen food will only make our colds worse. Even more unfortunately, there was never any need to deprive ourselves of sweet frozen treats when we're sick, because this is totally incorrect. It's long been thought that eating ice cream or any other frozen dairy product increases the body's production of phlegm and can make your cough and chest congestion worse. Not only is this not true, but it turns out that ice cream can actually help you feel better in a couple of ways. First, it can coat your sore throat and help to reduce irritation from all that coughing. Second, everyone knows that having a bad cold can often put a damper on your appetite, and ice cream is loaded with calories. So if it sounds good when nothing else does, feel free to indulge. It'll probably even help speed along your recovery. Of course, you wouldn't be huddled under blankets eating ice cream if you'd managed to avoid getting sick in the first place. It seems like common sense that going out in cold, wet weather is a surefire way to come down with a nasty cold, but this really doesn't make much sense if you think about it. This is because the common cold is caused by a virus, and viruses don't care what the weather is like. They're transmitted when an infected person sneezes or coughs in your personal space, and of course this can happen in any type of environment. Cold weather also has no effect on your immune system. However, there is a simple explanation for why more people catch colds in the winter. It's because we're spending a lot more time indoors in cold weather, in close quarters with others, creating an ideal breeding ground for viruses. Almost 1 in 3 American adults suffer from high blood pressure to some degree or another. This places them at much greater risk for heart disease and stroke, and most doctors tell their patients with high blood pressure that managing stress is a great way to address the problem. While it may be true that managing stress is an important component of good health, there is actually no concrete link between constant high levels of stress and high blood pressure. It's important to point out that stressful situations can certainly cause a temporary spike in blood pressure, but researchers have been unable to prove that these temporary spikes eventually lead to higher blood pressure overall. In fact, it's far more likely that destructive behaviors associated with stress, such as overeating, excessive alcohol consumption, and not getting enough sleep, contribute to an unhealthy blood pressure level rather than stress itself. We were all taught from a very early age that water and electricity don't mix. If a live electrical source comes into contact with a body of water at the same time we are, the current is going to move through the water instantaneously and give us a nasty shock, because water is the ultimate conductor of electricity. Well, it may be true that you should keep your radio far away from the bathtub, but water is far from the ultimate conductor. In fact, pure water does not conduct electricity at all. This may seem puzzling at first, but remember that practically no water on Earth is pure. Minerals, gases, organic matter, and practically everything else dissolves in water, and many of these substances are highly conductive. If you were to completely purify water in a lab, with absolutely no traces of minerals or anything else, you would find that electricity does not flow through it. But current can easily flow through impure water, as the minerals that are found in it are highly conductive. In fact, purified water is such a poor conductor of electricity that it can be used as an effective insulator. There are many things about our sense of taste that are not very well understood. Vision and hearing are both much more complex senses, but more is understood about them than about what goes on with our tongue when we taste food. You've probably seen a map of the tongue showing that different types of tastes, bitter, sour, salty, and sweet, are tasted on different areas of the tongue. But this is simply an old theory that was never properly disproved. It's easy to prove this one wrong. Simply take a dab of salt and place it anywhere on your tongue. You'll definitely taste salt, even if you put it on the zone that's only supposed to taste sweet or bitter. It turns out that the tongue map was based on faulty research published way back in 1901, and for close to a century there was simply nothing to replace it. Scientists have recently identified taste receptors that are located all over the surface of the tongue, which are capable of identifying all of the different tastes. Different types of detoxifying cleanses have become very popular in recent years, and juice diets were among the first of these fads to pop up. The idea is that by only consuming one simple type of food for a period of time, your body will cleanse itself of harmful toxins that can cause illness and low energy. Unfortunately for those who swear by these cleanses, there is absolutely no scientific evidence showing them to be effective, and plenty showing them to be potentially harmful. This is because your body already has an effective means to rid itself of toxins, your liver. In fact, this is your liver's sole purpose. Your kidneys and gastrointestinal tract also clean up whatever your liver might miss, and there is nothing you can eat or drink that has been shown to have an effect on this process in any way. Also, fruit juice has far less nutritional value than whole fruit. Juicing strips away beneficial fiber, which helps aid digestion, and the juice is loaded with sugars and empty calories. So as long as your liver and kidneys are functioning properly, there's no need to worry about whether you should detox. Your body is already doing it for you on a daily basis. Nearly everyone has dealt with acne breakouts at some time or another. They can be especially hard on teenagers, and many of us were warned away from chocolate and fatty foods by our doctors during our teen years. These have long been thought to clog up our pores and lead to worse breakouts, but there is only a grain of truth to this. Acne is actually caused by a bacterial infection, which is why many popular acne remedies are based on antibiotics. One reason for the misconception is that a high-fat, high-sugar diet can trigger the body's inflammatory response, which can sometimes, but not always, worsen an existing acne problem. Also, a diet high in fats and sugars probably also means a diet low in vegetables and proteins, which are needed to keep the skin healthy. So while it's safe to say that a diet of fried foods and candy bars may not be great for your skin or overall health, the notion that eating a Snickers will make you break out is simply false.